sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking.
An undercover sting by the FBI and the New Jersey State Police ends with the arrest of 45 pimps and their associates. Authorities say they rescued 16 children that those pimps were allegedly selling for sex.
At the age of 13, I met these men who promised me a better way of life. They said that they were going to protect me, provide for me, and that no one else was ever going to care about me. I believed them. But instead of protecting me, they raped me and forced me into prostitution. When I was 14 years old, I met a man who was 11 years older than me. He said that he was going to offer me a better life, a better future. He was going to be my hope. He was going to protect me, provide for me, and make sure that nothing ever happened to me. Little did I know, I was getting involved with an abusive alcoholic who was my pimp and soon to be the father of my child. At 14 and a half, I gave birth to my son. He passed away the next day. After that, I didn't know how I was going to make it. I stopped caring about everything and everyone, and I honestly was not interested in becoming anything more than I already was. I turned to drugs and alcohol just to numb the pain. I was suicidal for a really, really long time. It wasn't until one night in Nashville, Tennessee, I had traveled there alone, and I had a run-in with an undercover police officer. At that point, I had never felt so much relief in my life. As he was cuffing me and placing me in the back of his car, I honestly could not believe that I had never knew how tired I was. I was sick and tired, I had time to think, you know? I was released the next day at 2 o'clock in the morning. Something inside of me was like, call a cab. I listened to that still and quiet voice inside of me. It was that little bit of hope that I had. And so I called the cab. About 10 minutes later, the cab arrived in the front of the police station. From the moment I opened up the door, I just began to cry and cry and cry and cry and cry. The cab driver turned around and he looked at me. He said, "You're so much better than this. You don't deserve this. You should be at home with your children right now. Nothing in your life is ever going to go right until you start walking in your purpose, living the life that you were created to live." And at that point, I couldn't even believe what I was hearing. I share my story with you guys because we all have a voice. For me, it was that cab driver who used his, and because of that, it saved my life. We are all obligated to say something when we see something. Will you use your voice? Will you speak up? This is what needs to happen in order for anything to change. And I'm holding each and every last one of you guys accountable to say something when you see something.